Imagine a time when people were bought and sold like property. Sadly, that was the reality of slavery in America. It began in the 1600s when the first African slaves were brought to the colony of Virginia. These people were taken from their homes, families, and everything they knew. They were forced to work on farms and plantations without pay or any rights. Life for slaves was brutal. They endured long hours of backbreaking labor, often in harsh conditions. Families were torn apart as slave owners could sell slaves at will. Slaves had no control over their lives, and any disobedience was met with cruel punishments. Slavery cast a dark shadow over America. It contradicted the very ideals of freedom and equality that the nation was founded upon. It divided the nation, with some people profiting from the system, while others fought tirelessly to abolish it. This struggle for freedom would shape the course of American history. Even in the darkest of times, hope flickers. As slavery tightened its grip on America, courageous individuals began to raise their voices against this injustice. They believed that all people, regardless of their race, deserved to be free. This marked the beginning of the abolitionist movement. Abolitionists came from diverse backgrounds. Some were white Americans, deeply troubled by the contradiction of slavery in a nation that claimed to be a beacon of liberty. Others were free black Americans, many of whom had escaped slavery themselves. They understood its cruelty firsthand, and dedicated their lives to ending it. These early abolitionists faced immense opposition. They were ridiculed, threatened, and even physically attacked. Yet they persisted, spreading their message through newspapers, speeches, and books. They helped organize the Underground Railroad, a secret network of safe houses and routes that helped slaves escape to freedom in the North. As the abolitionist movement gained momentum, it ignited fierce debates across the nation. The southern states, heavily reliant on slave labor for their agricultural economies, fiercely defended the institution of slavery. They argued that it was essential for their way of life and that slaves were content with their lot. In contrast, many people in the northern states condemned slavery as a moral abomination. They saw it as a stain on the nation's conscience and argued that it violated the fundamental principles of human rights. This stark division between North and South deepened over time, pushing the nation closer to the brink of conflict. The debate over slavery extended beyond the halls of Congress and permeated every aspect of American life. It influenced literature, music, and art. It sparked passionate sermons from pulpits and fueled fiery editorials in newspapers. The issue of slavery had become deeply intertwined with the nation's identity, and its resolution would have profound consequences for generations to come. Imagine a secret network of paths and safe houses, stretching across hundreds of miles, guiding runaway slaves toward freedom. This was the Underground Railroad, a testament to the courage and compassion of those who risked everything to help others escape the shackles of slavery. The Underground Railroad was not a literal railroad, but a clandestine system of routes and hiding places. Conductors, both black and white, risked their own freedom to guide escaping slaves through dangerous territories, often traveling by night and relying on the North Star for direction. Safe houses along the Underground Railroad were often located in private homes, churches, and barns. These havens, often marked by quilts with specific patterns hung outside, provided temporary refuge for weary travelers. The Underground Railroad offered a glimmer of hope to those yearning for freedom, demonstrating that even in the face of immense adversity, the human spirit could not be broken. Section 5. Frederick Douglass, a voice for freedom. Born into slavery, Frederick Douglass escaped to freedom and became one of the most powerful voices against slavery in American history. His eloquence, intelligence, and first-hand accounts of the horrors of slavery captivated audiences and challenged the conscience of a nation. Douglass taught himself to read and write, defying laws that prohibited slaves from obtaining an education. He believed that knowledge was the key to freedom and empowerment. His autobiography, Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass, an American Slave, became a bestseller, exposing the brutality of slavery to a wider audience. As a gifted orator, Douglass traveled extensively, delivering powerful speeches that condemned slavery as a moral evil. He argued that black people were not only capable of freedom but also deserved the same rights and opportunities as any other American citizen. His unwavering commitment to justice and equality made him a towering figure in the fight for abolition. Section 6. Harriet Tubman, leading others to liberty. Harriet Tubman, a conductor on the Underground Railroad, embodied extraordinary bravery and compassion. Born into slavery, she escaped to freedom in 1849 but refused to enjoy her liberty while others remained enslaved. Driven by an unwavering commitment to justice, she returned to the South 19 times, risking her own life to guide over 300 slaves to freedom. Tubman's courage knew no bounds. She faced constant danger, with slave owners offering large rewards for her capture. Yet she persisted, armed with her sharp wit, unwavering faith, and a pistol to defend herself and those she was guiding. Known as Moses to those she led to freedom, Tubman became a legendary figure in the fight against slavery. Her unwavering determination, strategic brilliance, and deep empathy for those suffering under the yoke of slavery made her a true American hero. Her legacy continues to inspire generations to fight for justice and equality for all. Section 7. The Civil War, a nation torn apart. The issue of slavery ultimately led to the American Civil War, a brutal conflict that tore the nation apart. In 1860, Abraham Lincoln, who opposed the expansion of slavery, was elected president. This event proved to be the tipping point for Southern states who feared that Lincoln's election signaled the end of their way of life. 11 Southern states seceded from the Union, forming the Confederate States of America. They believed that they had the right to govern themselves and maintain the institution of slavery. The remaining states, primarily in the North, remained loyal to the Union, committed to preserving the nation and abolishing slavery. The Civil War was a long and bloody conflict with battles fought across the nation. Families were divided, brother against brother, as Americans took up arms against one another. The war brought immense suffering and loss, leaving deep scars on the nation's psyche. Section 8. The Emancipation Proclamation, a turning point. On January 1, 1863, President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, a pivotal moment in the fight against slavery. This executive order declared that all slaves held in Confederate territories shall be thenceforward, and forever free. The Emancipation Proclamation was a strategic move by Lincoln, aimed at weakening the Confederacy by depriving it of its slave labor force. It also transformed the Civil War from a conflict to preserve the Union into a struggle for human freedom and equality. While the Emancipation Proclamation did not immediately free all slaves in the United States, it held immense symbolic importance. It served as a beacon of hope for enslaved African Americans, inspiring many to escape to Union lines and join the fight for their freedom. The proclamation also rallied international support for the Union cause, further isolating the Confederacy. Section 9. The 13th Amendment, Slavery Abolished. After 4 long years of bloody conflict, the Civil War finally ended in 1865 with the defeat of the Confederacy. The Union was preserved, and slavery, the institution that had divided the nation for so long, was finally abolished with the ratification of the 13th Amendment to the Constitution. The 13th Amendment, adopted in December 1865, declared that neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States, or any place subject to their jurisdiction. This landmark amendment marked a turning point in American history, legally ending centuries of chattel slavery. It was a testament to the sacrifices made by countless individuals, both black and white, who fought tirelessly to abolish this inhumane institution. The 13th Amendment laid the groundwork for a more just and equitable society, though the struggle for true equality was far from over. Section 10. Reconstruction, Rebuilding a Nation. Following the Civil War, the nation faced the daunting task of rebuilding and integrating millions of newly freed African Americans. This period, known as Reconstruction, was marked by efforts to establish racial equality and resistance from those clinging to old ways. The federal government implemented policies to protect the rights of freedmen and provide opportunities for education, land ownership, and political participation. Black men gained the right to vote, and many held elected office for the first time. However, Reconstruction faced fierce opposition from white Southerners who resented the changes. Groups like the Ku Klux Klan used violence and intimidation to terrorize black communities and undermine their freedoms. Section 11. The Legacy of Slavery, a Continuing Journey. The abolition of slavery was a watershed moment in American history, but the journey toward racial equality did not end there. The legacy of slavery continued to cast a long shadow, manifesting in systemic racism and inequality. The civil rights movement fought to dismantle these barriers. The struggle for racial justice continues today. The journey toward a more perfect union is ongoing.